Welcome back to Night Shift with Justin S. King. Tonight we're talking about something that sounds simple but can seriously change sleep. That is the difference between mouth breathing and nose breathing. And we're also going to discuss mouth tape, how to do it safely. This episode is mostly based on a conversation from the Sleep is a Skill podcast hosted by Mollie Eastman, which was released earlier today, February 27th, and it features breathing expert Patrick McKeown, author of The Breathing Cure for Better Sleep. I'm going to reference what they said and then give you a tight practical plan to start out with. And he says if you are waking up with a dry mouth, that is a red flag. He estimates a big chunk of adults and many kids wake up with dry mouth, which usually means you're breathing through your mouth at night. And why does that matter? In their conversation, Patrick says studies comparing mouth breathing versus nasal breathing during sleep consistently show mouth breathing looks worse, more snoring risks, more oxygen drops, more fatigue, and lighter sleep. The simple version that Patrick lays out in this episode was that the nose is built for breathing. It helps slow airflow and support steadier breathing. With your mouth closed, your tongue can rest on the roof of your mouth, which can help open space behind the tongue and reduce the risk of airway collapse. He also describes a signal effect, nasal breathing supporting the upper airway muscles, and better diaphragm breathing mechanics. Or in other words, nose breathing tends to stack the deck toward calmer, steadier sleep. And now let's talk about mouth tape. Patrick is very clear. He says never force nasal breathing during sleep, meaning don't just slap tape over your mouth and hope your nose magically works. He also gives several cautions, so I'm going to say them plainly. Kids, he's uncomfortable with fully covering a child's mouth because if you get sick or congested, risk goes up. He warns those with moderate to severe obstructive sleep apnea to not fully cover the mouth because some people mouth puff to vent air, and blocking that can make things worse. He also flags people with things like serious nasal obstruction. So if your nose can't move air well, don't pretend that tape will fix it overnight. So if you're going to use tape, the type he recommends matters. Based on what Patrick demonstrates in the episode, there are basically two approaches you'll see. Full seal tape, which covers the lips closed. This is a classic strip straight across the mouth. It can work for some people, but it's the most likely to be misused, especially if you might have sleep apnea, nasal blockage, or panic claustrophobia feelings. The other type of tape is vent-style tape, which surrounds your mouth but brings your lips together and allows for mouth puffing. Patrick demonstrates a style with a whole vent and describes it as surrounding the mouth and gently encouraging lip closure without fully blocking airflow. At this point, if someone needs to mouth puff, a fully sealed mouth can be a problem, so a vented option reduces that risk. He also adds another key idea that mouth taping isn't the whole game. He says the bigger goal is fixing daytime breathing patterns because your daytime breathing tends to carry into sleep. Here's the daytime plan that matches what Patrick keeps repeating in that episode. He said, with mouth closed during light movement, when you're walking, especially easy to moderate pace, practice breathing through your nose. Also, don't chase huge breaths. He's big on lighter, slower breathing rather than hard, fast breathing. Use a slow exhale. In the episode, he talks about slowing the exhale near bedtime and letting the body shift into a calmer state. A super simple drill you can do right now is breathe in slowly through your nose and make the exhale longer and calmer. Do that for 10 breaths. If you notice your mouth getting a little more watery, more saliva, and your body getting drowsy, that is a good sign you're shifting towards a relaxed state. And a quick safety recap from the episode is don't force nasal breathing at night. Don't fully close a child's mouth. If you suspect sleep apnea, be careful. Fully sealed tape can backfire for some people. If you can't breathe comfortably through your nose while awake, fix that first. Don't tape your way through a blocked nose. If you're a heavy snorer, wake up choking, have witnessed pauses in breathing, or feel exhausted even after a full night of sleep, get a proper sleep evaluation. Patrick points out that breathing matters, but a diagnosis still matters too. So the main takeaway from this episode of Sleep is a Skill with Patrick McKeown is simple. Start with nasal breathing during the day. And if you use mouth tape, be smart with the type that you choose. Before you go, here's a simple experiment for tomorrow. On your next walk, try nose breathing only for the first 5 minutes, mouth closed, tongue relaxed. If you start to feel like you're gasping, slow your pace until your nose breathing feels comfortable again. Do that once a day for a week, and it's one of the easiest ways to train your body to make breathing through your nose your default. That's it for tonight's episode of Night Shift. My name is Justin S. King, and I help entrepreneurs find peace tonight, tomorrow, and for the rest of their lives through sleep optimization, emotion regulation, and discovering their purpose. Good night.